Consider this function, which contains an internal variable x, and the g function, which is defined inside f. We will work on it in order to try to understand how closures are created and how they can contain the lexical environment at the time of their creation. Inside f, g is called, so let's call f and run this, and we get the x logged because x is defined outside g and this value is available inside g, so when we call it, it can log 1. Now let's change this and set it to return a reference to g. Nothing is happening. When we call f directly, nothing is logged in the terminal since f just returns a reference. Let's try to log x outside f. This gives us an error since x is enclosed inside f. It is declared with const, so it's block scoped inside the f function. Now let's try to call the call of f like this. Since f returns g, this is equivalent to a call of g. It's like calling this. But g is also internal to f, so this also gives us a reference error, but on the contrary, calling the call of f has the effect that we want. F returns only g, x is not returned, but we still get the value of x logged. Still, we cannot make a point here and talk about closures, since we are still calling f. We can do this by assigning the return of f to a variable. Let's say const age equals the call of f. Now, if we log age and the type of it, let's see what we get. We see now that the variable age is assigned to a function which is named g, since we return g inside here, and its type is a function. So age is a function pointing to the inner function named g. The call to f has been completed. Now x and z still are not available outside f. But what happens if we call age? Now we still get the value of x logged. And how can this be? This is because age carries the value of x in a closure. When f was called, a closure was created containing g and the x variable. So when we make this assignment and call f, we have the creation of this closure, which contains the variable x as a part of the lexical environment of g, the inner function, and its lexical environment at the time of creation. This was a simplified example of how closures are created.